Welcome everybody to the first session of the new LiveWaves webinar by Arcombe Ritrama called Change the Way You Convert. Be the first to transform liner from waste into resource with Core Linerless Solutions. My name is Efrem Almiento and I'm the marketing manager for film, graphics and offset sheets of Arcombe Ritrama. Today we are introducing the LiveWaves dedicated to innovation. We are going to describe you the Core Linerless Solution technology from its basic construction to converting and application. The speaker is my colleague Sergio Veneziani, the product manager of the Linerless range. Sergio has more than 20 years of experience in Linerless labeling, and I cannot think of a better person to take you through this journey. Use the chat box to write any question you may have. We will answer to some of them at the end of the webinar. For all the questions left unanswered, we will contact you in the next days. Our staff is at your disposal for any kind of technical support. Write them using the chat box. The webinar is recorded and you will all receive the video in a dedicated follow-up email. And now I leave the floor to Sergio.
Thank you, Efrem, for your introduction. Without any doubt, it generates a lot of expectations. Welcome to all of you from my side, and thank you for the great interest shown both on our webinar, LiveWaves, and on this first event dedicated to the platform Core Linerless Solutions. Before starting, I'd like to define the scope of this webinar. The scope is to take you on a journey through all technical aspects of the labeling technology we have developed to bring a sustainable solution into the label market. Being this a technical webinar, no commercial information will be given on the cost of the materials, neither on the cost of the equipment. As my colleague Efrem already explained, feel free to submit all your technical questions by the chat box. The last part of the seminar will be dedicated to give you answers. The pressure-sensitive labeling industry has always been prosperous thanks to its continuous growth over the years and its willingness to innovate, anticipate, and adapt to future market demand. Pressure-sensitive labels are pillars in brand owners' product portfolio, as they are an essential component of their marketing strategy. Labels offer even more flexibility compared to other decoration technologies, and there is still a transfer of volume from wet glue labeling technology to pressure-sensitive one because of the many advantages we all well know. Looking at the breakdown of the pressure-sensitive material, we see that a significant percentage becomes waste for both converters, the matrix during the die cutting process, and brand owners, the liner after the labeling process. In total, 51% of the label material becomes waste along the supply chain. With the current economic situation, reducing or even eliminating process waste is of great importance, and it is also a strategic target stated in the corporate social responsibility document of many brand owners. The increasing focus on sustainability and recycling is creating a growing interest in linerless labels. Recycling and reuse programs are now available for release liner, but eliminating the process waste, liner and matrix, is seen as a more attractive option. Consumers, brand owners, and the labeling industry have now an increased awareness of the need to eliminate waste. This is now a major push towards the adoption of linerless labels. The platform Core Linerless Solutions was developed to bring a sustainable solution, a waste elimination solution, into the label market. We consider linerless technology as the evolution of pressure-sensitive one. Linerless is not in competition with pressure-sensitive. It's just a natural evolution towards sustainability and waste elimination. It is important to say this evolution has already taken up to 4% market share, slightly above 1 billion square meters a year, and the split of this volume sees the primary labeling at nearly 50%. Linerless technology has been quickly developing over the last 18 months in typical applications for the labeling market. Variable information print in market sectors such as retail, logistics and transportation, and fast food. Primary labeling in market sectors such as food and beverage. Let's go and see the benefits. Core Linerless Solution is a concrete solution for converters to bring to brand owners a waste elimination technology. Labels are always protected without any additional film. Conventional printing techniques, including digital printing and cold foil, have already been proven. Embossing and cold foil are not achievable. Productivity. By having moved the die cutting process from the press to the finishing module, we can increase the printing speed during the printing process. Of course, this is valid if there are no other restrictions given by the label design. As the label gap is eliminated, there are less linear meters to be printed in the printing job. Then, faster printing speed and job length reduction provide a virtual increase of the printing capacity to converters. The evident reduction in volume, thanks to downgauging and matrix elimination, allows a 50% cutting in transport and storage costs. This platform is available for converters and brand owners. From label-based material to converting process machinery to labeling equipment, everything is ready to use. Converter and brand owners get access to a step change technology, allowing them to reach ambitious targets towards sustainability and cost saving in terms of total cost of ownership. To be very clear, when we say saving, We always refer to a reduction in the total cost of ownership, not simply to the label's selling price. We can even calculate this thanks to a value simulator we have developed to support converters and brand owners in preparing a business case. This tool could be useful in order to measure all the expected benefits. Core Linerless Solutions is not just a product. As already mentioned, it's a platform covering from the label converting to the label dispensing. It has been developed by a shared innovation project involving specific partners specialized and with a very good reputation in their respective fields. At the beginning of the production process of the labels, the base material is very similar to the traditional one, having practically the same construction: face stock, adhesive, and liner. The differences are in a significant gauge reduction of the raw materials and the addition of the thermal activable adhesive that is used for the liner lamination on top of the label during the converting process. We see an evident reduction in the label plastic mass, even when compared with the thinner pressure-sensitive construction available nowadays in the market. After the printing step, the reel is taken to the offline lamination module by OMET, where the material is delamed and relamed by it activating the thermal adhesive originally applied by ice on the back of the liner. Once the siliconized PET liner is laminated on top of the label, the thermal activable adhesive practically disappears, remaining in between the layers of the duplex construction. After the lamination, the reel is taken to the offline finishing module by Spilker, where a die cutting station applies the cross-web microperf and the slitting is realized by through-cut, separating the web into single lanes. The multifunctional smart liner from waste becomes resource. Therefore, it is no longer disposed. During the converting process, it will be necessary to make some splices, mainly into different situations. Semi-finished reel splice. It is the one made by the operator while charging the reel into the press or into the lamination module or into the finishing module. This splice allows the junction between two edges without having to make again the material path into the machine. All the material used by this splice are available from the market and from our convert Ritrama. Finished reel splice. During the last step of the converting process, the inspection system controls the quality of the labels and stops the finishing module in case of any failure, defect, or a splice made previously. The web is automatically positioned on the splicing table, and then the operator will make the splice right at the center line of the label with the support of vacuum. The special tape used to make the splice, sticking on the siliconized side of the label, is available from Arconvert Ritrama. The label containing the splice in the middle will be dispensed by the labeling machine LT. No web breaking during the labeling. And it will simply imply the ejection of the bottle with the label showing the splice. To visualize and to summarize the production process for the Core Linerless Solutions labels. Printing. It is a reel-to-reel process at the maximum speed, only limited by the label design. No more speed restriction due to inline die cutting and matrix stripping that are moved to the finishing step, and then no waste is generated. Lamination by OMET. Offline reel-to-reel process allowing converters to make it with a very compact equipment, very easy to use, being specified just for the lamination process. It's always the same process. Finishing by Spilker. It is the last step and it consists in the web inspection, slitting into single lanes, and the rewinding of finished reels. This module could also be used to finish reels of pressure-sensitive labels. Labeling by Hilti. The linerless dispensing head can be easily integrated in already existing rotary machines manufactured with a modular design. Except for the label printing, converting and labeling processes can be experimented at the TLS Service Center in Italy. This place has been created to support trials, prototyping, and homologation process for converters and brand owners. After this presentation, we will show you a movie explaining how Core Linerless solution labels are produced and are applied. The labeling part in the movie was recorded at the TLS Service Center. This movie is also available in YouTube, and after this webinar, you will receive all the information, including the link. Again, this platform has not been developed to compete with pressure-sensitive label. It's just a natural evolution of pressure-sensitive labeling that can be adopted in the food, beverage, home, and personal care markets where this can be the right fit. We see a return to square and rectangular shaped labels, offering the best cost efficiency. Brand owners in the home care market have already launched some new refill products with a very linear bottle using rectangular labels, also for wraparound applications. Core Linerless Solutions materials provide visual equivalency, and playing with the graphic design and clear material, we can easily simulate label shaping. 3 different material constructions are available to cover typical applications in the primary labeling: white, clear, and silver. Ready to use for both converters and brand owners. No need for converters to further develop the solution. the compatibility between the base material and the converting process has already been proven. No restrictions in the labeling speed and in the label position accuracy. AB InBev is the largest brewer in the world. I want to report what stated by Mr. Merizalo of ABI on November 19, in occasion of their press release made after the adoption of the labeling platform Core Linerless Solutions to label their beer bottles. He is the responsible of the project Eliminator at ABI. The project scope was to prove Core Linerless Solution labels could easily replace current pressure-sensitive ones, delivering expected benefits. This is what Mr. Merizalo stated. In 2017, a more sustainable plastic label was our dream. ABI's team accepted the challenge, and today we are proud to launch Core Linerless Solutions labels in South Africa at the South African breweries, part of ABI Group. With lighter label and lighter liner material versus pressure-sensitive labels of today, we drastically reduce the plastic consumption and eliminate the waste of the liner in brewery operations, creating evident efficiencies and cost reductions throughout the value chain. This is just a start, and proud to be part of this. Well, there will be another webinar on June 18th, having ABI SAB delegates telling us their experience while adopting Core Linerless Solution labels. We show now the movie, and then we get back to the Q&A session. For your information, the video does not have any speech, only subtitles.
Again, good afternoon, and thank you, Sergio, for your comprehensive explanation. Now it's the question and answer time. So please write your question in the chat box, and we will try to answer all your questions. The first one asks if it's possible to use a linerless to print not rectangular labels.
Well, good question. As I explained, linerless labels are always within a rectangular or square shaped label, as I would say all the labels, including the pressure sensitive ones in the world, because even if you produce a round label, you always start from a square and then you die cut and you remove the matrix in order to obtain a round label. We can play with the label design and the clear material in order to simulate within a rectangular or square perimeter of the label a shaped label. Yes, it is.
Next question. Can linerless solution be printed on a digital press? Okay.
Yes.
Another one. Do you have a wash-off adhesive for beverage products?
Well, the current version of the 3 constructions are with traditional permanent acrylic adhesive. But we have a project on the go for the wash-off construction for glass bottles, for returnable bottles.
Okay, another question. What kind of technical support a converter can get to start a project with a brand owner?
Right. During the presentation, I introduced the TLS Service Center. This is a place, while it's also a big investment for the partners, where we can support converters and brand owners in making trials, in prototyping the core linerless solution labels on their specific product, including converting and labeling process. So practically we can play with the labels and the product and realize short runs, little productions that can be, submitted to the stakeholders for the related approval, and it can also something that can prove before going live that the expected result can be achieved.
Another question is, what about different types of adhesive?
Well, in this moment, we have only one type of adhesive available. It's permanent, but we could also develop other constructions. For example, with removable adhesive, it's if it's a request from the market and if the volumes justify the development.
Now there's another question that probably means a little misunderstanding. The question is, how is the adhesive activated on the application line?
All right, so the activation of the thermal adhesive, let's start from the beginning. The thermal adhesive is applied by us during the manufacturing process of the base material. And the base material arrives to the converter as a ready-to-use material that is first printed on a press, and then it comes the turn of the lamination process. It is exactly during the lamination process where the thermal adhesive is heat activated by the heat drum of the lamination module, and then this is laminated on top of the label. Once the PET liner, the siliconized PET liner, is laminated on top of the label, the thermal activable adhesive practically disappears. It remains in between the two layers of the duplex construction.
Now a very interesting one. Will our customer be able to put date stamps or lot marking on the end product?
Yes, they can. There are different options. First option is laser scoring the label, and this laser scoring can be realized in two different ways. One is practically burning the lamination film, so it becomes a sort of white text on the lamination film of the label. Second option, by using laser reactive inks in the label printing, it's possible to print a box in the label where the laser is going to engrave, for example, the batch before or the batch number. And then practically you see that the ink that could be in the beginning a white box, then you see a black text appearing after the laser scoring. Second option is inkjet. Inkjet is only valid for the clear version, and then you print by an inkjet on the adhesive side of the label. Practically, you are going to mark the label under the adhesive, and when the label is applied on the product, because of the clear material, this marking is visible, but it's completely scratch proof despite is only inkjet.
Another question about the speed of the labeling machine with this kind of labels.
Well, the speed of the labeling machine is practically the same of the already existing labeling machine. What is important to say here in this answer, and it might anticipate the answer to other questions, is that it is not always requested to replace the complete rotary labeling machine from the brand owners to be able to dispense Core Linerless Solutions labels. They only need to replace the dispensing unit that in modular machine is typically an add-on that is related to the decoration technology selected by the customer. So it could be wet glue, it could be roll fed, or it could well be pressure sensitive label that can be replaced by Core Linerless Solution dispensing head.
You said that embossing and confoil are not possible. And what about silk screen printing?
Well, let me clarify. Embossing is not possible. Confoil is possible. It is. Silk screen is also possible. Of course, we should expect a little reduction of the tactile effect of the silk screen print after having laminated the liner on top of the label.
Let's find some other questions. So the Linerless Technologies is only available for film, not papers, considering papers label are still the biggest in the world.
Well, as part of the Arconvert Ritrama group, This platform has been developed for film-based labels and is addressed to market sector where there is already a huge consumption of film-based labels, and is also expected that, for example, some movement from some transfer of volume from the wet glue labeling technology towards pressure sensitive or core linerless solutions labels will be on film-based materials, thanks to the quality, to the printing features, and also to the appearance.
Now, another question that probably means a misunderstanding. The question is how it can be more environmental friendly if there are two films at the end when before was a film with a release liner.
Well, this sounds much more provocation rather than a question, but let answer also to this. When you have a core linerless solutions labels in your hands, it's practically the same as a pressure sensitive label. The difference is in the fact that we are using less material in terms of grammage, thickness, and less material in terms of square meters per job, thanks to the matrix elimination. What happens after the label is applied on the product? Either it is a pressure sensitive or a core linerless solution one, it is practically the same. There are in the market a lot of labels that are produced, a lot of pressure sensitive labels that are produced by PE white 80 microns laminated with a PET 12 liner. In this case, we are in exactly the same situation. Difficult to give an answer more precise because the recycling of the label also depends on the region and depends on how the downstream is organized for the recycling. But what I can say in general terms is that it's not very different from what is the current situation at the brand owner with the existing pressure sensitive label.
A very quick one. The question is if the substrate is available in clear and white.
Yes, clear, white, and silver.
Then some question, not only one, regarding recycling, and the attendees are asking if there is also a monomaterial solution, not PET plus PP.
No, the current construction foresees OPP face stock because of its very good printability, in particular in our case being already a top coated OPP. And then the lamination film that is used is the PET liner. So in the end, the construction is a duplex OPP PET label.
And now a question concerning the end user. So the question is if the end user has to replace the application machine.
No, as I mentioned before, Hilti has developed a very compact modular linerless dispensing head which can easily be integrated in already existing labeling machines if they have been manufactured with modular design. What does it mean? It means that the implementation of the labeler can allow also to return to pressure sensitive or to the previous condition anyway, if the machine has been built with modular design. The introduction of the linerless dispensing head on a very old labeling machine, which has been produced with a different design, not modular, becomes a sort of permanent modification. While in the first case, to switch from one technology to the other is a matter of minutes, couple of minutes.
What is the minimum width of the finish reel?
The minimum width of the finish reel it's 40 millimeters.
Then a question related to the finishing. So how are you going to replace wrong labels in the finishing? This will be a very delicate job.
Well, in reality, it's not. I understand that if you have not seen it before, then it can appear very complicated. While in reality, it's very similar to the joint, to the splice, which is done in flexible packaging. So in case of any defect in flexible packaging, they cannot replace just a single pack, let me say. What they do, they cut the web and then they remove the defective part from the web and then they make the splice. This is what a converter will do on the finishing module with a full automated assistance from the machine.
Then we have to, in my opinion, explain better what are the benefits for the converter, because the question is, I believe that the most benefits are for the brand owner and not for the converters. So I guess you should explain much better which are the benefits for the converter.
I would say there are different benefits provided by the platform. Some of them are for the converters, some of them are for the brand owner. So I would say this is a win-win situation. What does it mean? It means that converters are going to provide brand owners with benefits without being forced, for example, in terms of cost saving, without being forced to squeeze their margins in order to come with a sort of cost concession, price concession. Converters during the converting process can benefit from some specific situations, as we commented before, like a print speed increase if it's allowed by the label design. And we made some simulations, we made some trials where printing the same label from 80 meters per minute up to 120 meters per minute, it's practically a 50% increase in print speed, which is going to cut by 50% the duration of the print job. And on top of this, if we add the fact that eliminating the gap between labels, which is minimum 3 millimeters, we eliminate a certain quantity of linear meters from every single printing job, which are no longer there, are no longer to be printed. So these two things together provide benefits to converters.
A quick one.
Sorry, last comment, and then We have not to forget that matrix itself, it's a waste to be disposed, and it's a cost for converters. We have not to forget that matrix in many applications, in many labels, can easily represent up to the 15% of the label surface. Eliminating the matrix, we eliminate a cost element into the label price.
A very quick one. The linerless solution needs a particular storage condition?
No, well, the recommended storage conditions are exactly the same for equivalent pressure-sensitive constructions, film-based.
Still a question concerning the process in the converting part. So isn't it an extra cost in the process because we are now laminating and die cutting offline?
Well, I'm not an expert regarding the converting process, as I'm mainly dealing with materials, but based on what our partners, Omet and Spilker, reported on their big experience as machinery manufacturers for the labeling market, for the label market, moving the die cutting process out of the press is going to simplify anyhow the printing process. And as we said, right now, when possible, it allows to speed up the process. The lamination process is a straightforward operation. The machine has been specified in order to do always the same job: delam and relam the liner on top of the label. So it's even a process that can be in parallel, can be realized in parallel by the same operator that is working on a press, and as soon as the reel is taken out of the press, can be put on the lamination module and being laminated.
How long does it take to get the CLS labels homologated by a brand owner?
Well, it's like a $1 million question, because it mainly depends on the organization and on the commitment of the brand owner. But I think it's professional to expect that an implementation of a project that foresees the homologation of an alternative technology can last from 9 to 18 months, depending on the, as I said, commitment and also the complexity of the project. So just to manage expectations, don't expect that a brand owner can replace current labels with linerless within few weeks.
Next one, is the top coating face stock one side or two sides top coated?
It's one side.
Okay. So what a converter needs to produce CLS labels then, to resume?
Well, they need first a press, but if they are converters, I assume they already have at least one press. To produce the Core Linerless Solutions labels, they need, in addition to the press, the lamination module by Omet, and then the finishing module by Spilker. It's important to say that while the lamination module by Omet is a piece of equipment specified for the lamination of the core linerless material, then the finishing module by Spilker can also be used to do the same finishing process for pressure sensitive labels.
I guess we are running out of time. We have just 2 minutes left. So let's go for the last question. Let me scroll a bit. Are brand owners satisfied with the perforated edge?
Well, according to the experience we did with AB InBev, we can confirm that the microperf is realized in a way that practically is not visible once the label is separated and applied on the product. You need a powerful magnifier to discover that the two sides of the label, instead of being a straight cut, in reality is a microperf.
Well, Sergio, thank you very much. I guess we have already completed our slot time. So thank you all for your participation to this webinar. And we will answer to all your questions we were not able to answer now. Thank you for participation, and you will receive all the registration of the webinar, and so you will get all the material you need. Thank you very much, and see you soon in the next webinar.
Right. To me, I warmly invite, if you want to participate to the next webinar dedicated to the Core Linerless Solutions platform. It will be on June 18th, and it will see the participation of the delegates from the world largest brewer, AB InBev, so that you could place questions to them, and they will tell us the experience while adopting the labeling platform. So also for some of the converters that are with us today, it might be interesting. It might be interesting hearing from a direct voice of the brand owners how it was managed, how it was developed, the project. From my side, it's all. Thank you very much for joining the webinar, and see you soon. Bye.